is killed, that political violence is wrong, and that we should work everything within our power to end gun violence in this country. None of us were interested in litigating his life until his supporters and our House Republican colleagues decided to say he was akin to Martin Luther King, who this man loathed. So you invited us into that debate that you wanted to have, that you said Charlie was always interested in. And so you cannot get upset, you can't be mad if people then hold that mirror and say, but here's really who he was. And we cannot forget, it's one thing to ask us to condemn the violence, but it's another for you to ask us to pretend Charlie wasn't who Charlie was.
I'm not sure anyone's asking that. I mean, maybe some people are.
That is what people are asking.
I'm certainly not asking that, but
that is what people are asking. People are asking.
Super combative.
And are getting fired for sharing Charlie's words.
Well, and some people were celebrating it. That was part of it. But
I haven't seen that. I've just seen people sharing his words.
You know, it's always difficult to deal with these people, and I don't understand why we keep electing them, because if they can't even be honest at the idea that people have been celebrating Charlie Kirk's passing, then I'm not even sure that you can even really have a conversation with them, because people were celebrating it. I'm pretty sure that she is aware of it, because when you go through and you look at the videos, they don't filter it out in the algorithm by the people that are and aren't celebrating it, and only the people that are communicating some of the things that he said. It's such bull, it's nonsense, and it's not true. And so if you can't even find, which I'm pretty sure people know that there's very few honest politicians, but if you can't even find somebody to be honest in this conversation, then what can you have a conversation about? You know, when I first started seeing this go viral, I wanted to go and find the original source. And it took me a little bit of time, but I was able to find the original source. And it's funny because even the host here, I think her name is Caitlin Collins, she is pushing back on Ilhan Omar. And so I'm not sure that I have been able to find a clip yet. I'm not sure that Ilhan Omar is even really familiar with everything that Charlie Kirk stood for and what it is that he represents. But what I am familiar with is what she's saying right now. What she's saying is absolutely reprehensible. And she's continuing to try to act like he was this horrible person. And the reason that she voted down a resolution that ultimately would honor his legacy is not because of any hateful rhetoric that he spewed, is because she didn't like him. And she does not like people that stand for conservative and Republican values. That's the truth. Y'all got to stop letting these politicians gaslight y'all. Y'all got to stop letting these politicians play games in y'all faces. I recently seen Trump on an interview that he did on Air Force One where they asked him about Ilhan Omar. And he was like, listen, where's she from? She came over here and got rich. And I seen Ilhan Omar, obviously, on social media trying to dispute the idea that she's not rich and all of this stuff, and that, you know, her net worth and her husband's net worth, because she only pointed out a small detail. She didn't, highlight certain things that was highlighted in the media. They come over here, get rich, somehow are able to hold seats, and they are able to also generate a lot of revenue, though being a public servant. And I'm not even sure how people that can migrate over to the United States of America, which if it is, it is. But, you know, I have to do a little bit of deep diving, because I'm trying to understand how people that walk into here that is not originally from here are able to hold seats. And then she serves a population. If you go over to Minneapolis or St. Paul, if you go over to the Twin Cities over there in Minnesota, they serve a population of people that have basically migrated over here, and they've taken over that entire city. So, you know, it's so disingenuous for her to play these games when in reality, Charlie Kirk really embodied what American values, conservative American values should be. And he never necessarily said anything about whether or not he hated or any of that type of stuff. He just held people accountable. And if you didn't necessarily care for what it is that he stood for, what he said, then you had an opportunity to debate him. You could have a conversation with him. He'd pull you up on a platform. I just did a review video of Van Jones saying that Charlie Kirk reached out to him. He didn't reach out to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk reached out to Van Jones on the issue of the woman that got killed on the train and the lack of accountability especially considering the things that Van Jones said on CNN, the lack of accountability that came from the people that said that he was responsible and he should be held accountable, but instead they kept trying to make it a mental health issue. Let's continue to hear what Ilhan Omar has to say.
There was a town hall that you had 6 days ago. You called Kirk a quote, hateful man, and you had reposted a video that I'm sure you've seen, you've taken criticism for. It's a video that called him a reprehensible human being and said, Kirk was Dr. Frankenstein and his monster shot him through the neck. Why repost that video?
Because there were a lot of things in the video that I did agree with. Obviously, we share videos. We don't have to agree with every single word. But I do believe he was a reprehensible, hateful man. Like, that is my view of the words that he has said about every single identity that I belong to. He didn't believe that we should have equal access to anything. He also just didn't even believe I could be smart enough. I could have thoughts that could be equal to a white man.
This is such a lie. This is such a lie. And it's so right in front of y'all face. And I can't believe y'all let these people sit there and lie in your face, directly to your face, change the words of what he said, change the narrative completely, and then act like this is the truth. No way that y'all just allow for this type of thing to happen and it's just cool. Crazy that this is just something that just gets spewed and shared and volunteered in front of y'all face and y'all just let it go.
Where are we missing this conversation about who this man was and the things that he said? How do you not find that reprehensible, Caitlin?
Well,
she thought she was going to come on CNN and it was going to be a fun interview. I see how this is going.
Do you think I don't
subscribe to that? But
do you think I don't have the brain processing power like you or a white man?
Well, of course not. And I know, think it's very clear here that I'm not sharing his views, and I don't justify them. But if somebody said that, would you say that that would be reprehensible views? I think the argument that was being made.
No, but I'm asking
what
you.
We have heard.
What's the point of asking somebody the question if you're not going to actually let them answer the question?
I'm asking you is, would you say that?
Yeah, I understand what you're asking me.
But you're asking me, how could I find him reprehensible? Like, that is reprehensible. You said it is reprehensible yourself. That is vile, it's reprehensible, and it is hateful.
No, I'm not asking why you think he's reprehensible. I think you're obviously allowed to have your own views. That's why we have you on here so often, because we like to hear your views and what you think on something. I just think it was the video where it called him Dr. Frankenstein and said his monster shot him through the neck. I mean, obviously this is a person, and looking at this is someone who was a husband and a father, and in the days after his shocking death, that happened as a result of his views, or it happened as a result as he was sharing his views publicly with people, that people found it jarring to hear such criticism of that in the immediate aftermath of
what
death.
I find jarring is that there are so many people willing to excuse the most reprehensible things that he said, that they agree with that they're willing to have monuments for him, that they want to create a day to honor him, and that they want to produce resolutions in the House of Congress honoring his life and legacy. It is one thing to care about his life, because obviously so many people loved him, including his children and wife. But I am not going to sit here and be judged for not wanting to honor any legacy this man has left behind. That should be in the dustbin of history, and we should hopefully move on and forget the hate that he spewed every.
This woman is crazy, bro. In my opinion, and you know, I don't know how y'all allowed for this woman to become a public servant and get paid with taxpayer dollars, but that's just my personal opinion. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. T-Channel, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Wild.